Hello, welcome to another video on literary pleasures. Today, we are going to be discussing the novel Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. But before I start, I will encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Now, in this video, I'm going to discuss the following features. First, we'll discuss the profile of the author. Then I'll give you a summary of the novel Farewell to Arms. And then I'll discuss two of the characters, the main characters, the themes, and finally the message of the novel. Now, the author's profile. Ernest Hemingway was born in 1899 and he died in 1961. He was an American novelist, short story writer, and journalist. He was said to have an economical style of writing, which was straightforward and filled with gusto. He received the Pulitzer Prize in 1953 for the novel The Old Man and the Sea, and he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. Ernest Hemingway was regarded as an icon in American literature. Now, for a summary of the story. No story of the First World War is as well told as Farewell to Arms. It is a story of a young American ambulance driver, Lieutenant Frederick Henry, who volunteers to serve in the Italian army during the First World War. Eventually, while on war duty, he meets a young British nurse, Catherine Barclay, who is grieving her fiancé's death. This story is a story of boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, and eventually boy loses girl. The end is not happily ever after. Well, let's continue. Henry returns to the war front and gets injured on his knee. A bold surgeon, Dr. Valentini, agrees to work on the knee against popular wisdom. Luckily, the surgeon succeeds, and Catherine joins him at his bedside in Milan. The army gives Henry 3 weeks leave, which he enjoys with Catherine. At the end of the leave, he comes down with jaundice. The superintendent of the hospital, Miss Van Campen, accuses him of being the cause of his jaundice because of his heavy drinking. In actual fact, Henry wants to spend more time with Catherine. They send him to the war front like that. Gallantly, Henry joins the fighting at the front, but the Italian forces are overpowered by the German forces. The Allied forces begin to retreat, and Henry and his ambulance drivers do the same. On the way, he shoots one of the engineers, and this action will torment him to the end of the book. He eventually makes it to safety to Milan to rejoin Catherine, who by now is pregnant, and the two of them embark on a journey to Switzerland, which is a neutral country during the war. In Switzerland, Catherine goes into labor and the delivery is a painful one. Catherine gives birth to a stillborn baby boy and she eventually loses her life. Henry is grieved by her death as he could not say his last goodbye to her. In his grief, he decides to write the story of the war. Now let's discuss the two main characters in the story, Frederick Henry and Catherine Barclay. First, Frederick Henry. Frederick Henry is the main character in the novel. He tells the story of his experiences during the First World War while serving as a volunteer with the Italian army. He exhibits a high sense of duty during his service and would not want to be recognized or given medals for his achievements during the war. He describes the war as brutal, savage, and depressing. Against this backdrop, he falls in love with a British nurse, Catherine Barclay, who would want him to concentrate on the battlefield rather than avow his love to her. She doesn't realize that his love is very strong and devoted. He stays with her till the end. His love for Catherine makes him to pen down his experiences during the war, as well as their love affair, as an honor to her memory. Now, Catherine Barclay. She was grieving the death of her fiancé when she meets Henry. When they first started, it was seduction at its best, and she never imagined that Henry was serious about chasing her. Eventually, Henry spends much more time with her than she is comfortable with, and she seems to be telling him several times to stop playing around. The narrator shows her as a woman conflicted by the war, but who eventually develops love for Henry during the war. The war has affected her so strongly that it would brave men, and she doubts if she will survive. These doubts affect her capacity to love Henry as fully as he loves her. Eventually, she meets a tragic end, as she has feared all along, when she delivers her stillborn baby. Now, what are the themes in the story? One theme that resonates through the characters in the story, except for some zealots who love the war, is that war is not only senseless, it is wasteful of good men. Henry is a humanist who ends up having the same view after witnessing senseless deaths at the war front. The war has a toll on Henry that drinking and love would help him to restore his sanity. Henry, who is the narrator, seems to escape the brutality of war, and he does so with his girlfriend Catherine when they go to Switzerland, a neutral country. One other thing that one can recognize is that those who are reluctant to fall in love like Henry could end up being madly in love and hopelessly in love, while persons who crave for love, who welcome it, could be overcome by strong emotions that they go through an intense love experience. Catherine is a woman who loves intensely when she falls in love, but the death of her fiancé has made her to doubt love, that she would ever love again. That is why she doubts Henry's avowal. But later we see her as a devoted and dedicated woman. The loss of life these two some have to grapple with makes both lovers experience a lot of reluctance to intensely fall in love, but Henry gives of himself quickly than Catherine. Now, what's the message in the story? Ernest Hemingway, the writer, is grappling with the fact that in the midst of a gruesome war that is not only terrifying but also violent, love could still thrive. It's like a parasite thriving in the midst of predators. The First World War was a war unlike any other. It is on record that there were about 20 million deaths and 21 million wounded during the war. In the war, the protagonist Henry experiences a first-hand account of the war, and he talks about it in clear detail. Yet, he still had the time to cultivate a love affair. The questions the writer wants us to answer for ourselves are: how could love blossom in the midst of hatred? Or how could we share our emotional sides between two extremes of love and violence? That is the story of the protagonist, Henry. As a lieutenant, he has seen several men die in the war front. He has seen brave men reduced to vegetables. Yet, he manages to escape from the depression wrought by his sorrows in an intense love affair with the British nurse, Catherine Barclay. Love of the kind between Catherine and Henry can rise above violence and brutality. This is a love story about how humans swing between the extremes of love and hatred. This novel has some similarity to the novel War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. So, that is the review of the novel Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I will encourage you to search for it online and read it. And if you love this review, like, comment, and also subscribe to this video. As always, I will tell you happy reading and have a nice day.